appears everybody is here, right? So everybody is present. Okay, next is the pledge. Trustee Johnson, would you like to lead us?
It would be my honor.
Thank you.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson.
My pleasure.
Okay, all right. Does anyone wish to reorder or add to the agenda? No. Okay, we're fine. Okay, next is public comment. I would like to open public comment period. Invite anybody from the public to address the Board of Library Trustees. Have you received any cards or contact?
We have not.
Okay, all right, then I will go ahead and close public comment period. For the board statements and reports, anybody have anything they would like to mention at this time? Okay. Vice President Vogel?
Yeah, I'll just quickly note, I went to the library on Saturday, like right before it closed. I was amazed how many people were there. And I walked out at 5 o'clock and there were still people in there. Now, I know it was a warm day, so maybe some people were in there to cool off. But the display of books for the kids in the Summer Discovery Program was great. And the library is definitely thriving. So good job, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice President Vogel. Okay, Trustee Johnson?
So I would like to share two things to the board. So first of all, last Saturday, I represented our board at Glendora Pride. It was very well attended. It was probably triple the turnout of the year previous. And once again, there is a very strong literacy and book presence in Pride events. And so there's authors, there's books, there's multiple booths focusing on literacy. So I ask culturally, I'm noticing there's a huge literacy element at Pride events, and one of the organizers shared with me that there's really a disconnect in the rainbow community being able to access literature that has authentic characters and scenarios that would speak to the community, and it's very important to see yourself in a book to become a true reader. And I shared about myself how I became a true reader was it's a very common story among women my age is I could see myself in the books Little House on the Prairie, because my family did have a farm and, I did all of those things as a child. So that was an interesting connection to make. And also one of the same organizers shared with me that that he wanted to know more about the state of the library in terms of the construction, and he shared that he feels that the library to him has always been a place of great safety and feeling very safe and secure in the library. And if you've been to library conferences, there's always a huge socio-emotional element with being a librarian. And not only how to support the community academically, but how to support the community emotionally. So a lot of people don't realize that librarians carry a huge emotional load for the community in addition to what people perceive as just your classic librarian jobs. So that I would like to share about Pride. In addition, the mayor was there, David Friedendahl was there, Karen Davis, of course, and Shauna Elias was representing City Council. So that was my report on Pride. And then I went to that lecture on architecture in Los Angeles with focusing on the downtown LA library architecture. And how it was pushed out to the community is I perceived that there was going to be a focus on library architecture, but that was not the case. And it actually was something a lot more interesting to what we're doing. So the panel were three very very well established, very well regarded architects. It was Pamela Shamshiri, Barbara Bester, and oh gosh, who was the third one? I'll think of it. But each of the architects were allowed to pick their 3 most classic, indicative projects that speak to LA culture. So if you could pick the 3 top buildings in Los Angeles, what would they be? And all 3 architects picked domestic architecture. They were all homes. And the moderator, who was truly brilliant, said, I'm observing all 3 of you selected your classic architecture projects were all domestic homes. And they said, yes, we didn't share what we were going to pick. You know, the architects didn't confer with one another before the panel. And they said, in Los Angeles, when you think of architecture, you think of private homes. So we have the luxury of the amount of space and the sprawl to build all of those homes. So you could get a little plot of land and you could build your dream home, and your happiness and your security and your fond memories are built inside your own home. So they said, in other communities, this is where we come in. In other communities, when you think about classic architecture, you think more public buildings. And those public buildings, like in New York and Chicago, those public buildings are the store of like warm family memories and gatherings and like traditions over time. So they were saying, except, you know, I can't really think of a building in Los Angeles where that would really be occurring. They came back to it later, and Tricia will be very interested as to which building they actually picked. But they said one of the reasons why LA has a really hard, difficult time gaining public support in large public buildings is because LA people, when you think about wonderful memories, you think about your own house. You don't think about the library. You don't think about, you know, an amazing park or a central park or things, or a huge museum that you always went to as a child. In LA, you think about your own private home. So that's why getting a library built from scratch is exceedingly difficult in their professional experience. So that was an aside. And then one of the architects goes, wait a minute, I know if there would be LA's living room, that if something horrible were to happen, they could get like that warm, wonderful feeling. They're like, of all the buildings, it's gonna have to be Dodger Stadium. They're like, if something bad happened with Dodger Stadium, people would rally and the funding and whatever. So that's what happens in New York and Chicago, but not necessarily in LA. So that wonderful traditions of memories over time with getting buildings funded publicly is critical. So I was like, aha, this is true. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Fascinating. Thank you for your report. Anybody else want to say something?
I would just like to share that I was lucky enough to be in the library on Friday, and it's bustling, and everything's set up for the summer discovery program. There were some very capable, I believe, middle schoolers there who I believe had to go through an interview process, and then were hired to volunteer, and they were lovely and explained to me what was going on. And it was just bustling. It was lively, and it was just a lovely place. I encourage everyone to take their kids down to the library and get involved in the Discovery program. There are some amazing things going on. And so hats off to the library staff. Amazing. That's it.
Okay, and awesome. Basically, the library is the place to be. It's the hot spot for the summer. So, and I wanted to piggyback on what you were talking about, Carrie, how people want authentic characters that they could identify with in the text. And there was a big thing that I was really focused on, and I was really involved in, like, gathering as many texts as possible that followed that concept. It's with bibliotherapy. And bibliotherapy was my big thing, you know, in school when I was studying. And then I would make sure I would match books to students to help them, like, buy into the text, make sure it kind of lined up with them, not be all random. Okay, one thing I wanted to bring up was one of my car show friends, Lloyd Johnson, passed away. He was a former mayor of West Covina. He was very involved in CalRods, and every car show in the area, he would appear with his 56 Chevy, and he had it all like a little memorial painted in his trunk area. So his trunk area wasn't necessarily a trunk, it was more of a display. And he even came to my school for trunk or treat, and he would talk to the kids or people in general about his experience in Vietnam War, and he got the Purple Heart and everything. But a couple weeks ago, he passed away. At this time, there's no information on when there will be any memorial service, but I'm sure it will be a big one. And so I just wanted to close in memory of Lloyd Johnson today. So, sorry, just wanted to give you a little background so you know who he was. And also, I am getting very excited about Night on the Plaza, looking so forward to it. I went and I shopped till I dropped today for the Library Board of Trustees little basket, so I got that all dropped off. So it's you could just call it fun in the sun. So it will be nice. And finally, one last thing, a shameless plug for the twins, Dean and Addison, you know. Sorry. But, sorry, I get all emotional, but, okay. But this is them with their little graduation picture. And they graduated June 3rd from South Hills. So I still can't believe they got so big, but okay, under control. So sorry about that. But I had to be human for 1 second, sorry. But I just wanted to share that. So that was really cool, a cool event. Very nicely done. And Dean's off to University Laverne and Addison, Cal Poly, Pomona, over in pre-vet. So that's awesome. Okay, all right. On to report of library director and library divisions. I would like to invite interim library director Donna Dukes to report.
Thank you, President Landman. As is typical, there is a report in your packet that is written, but we do have some verbal updates that we'll go over with you, and then at the end, if you have questions, you are very welcome to present them. So I just wanted to start with an update on our marketing and communications efforts and share some of the insight into how they work and why they work. So a concern we've heard, and one that staff shares, is how to most effectively ensure that residents are aware of our programs, our services, and resources that the library provides. So to address this, we utilize a targeted multi-channel approach that builds on our communication strengths and reaches residents where they already seek information. So city survey results consistently tell us that the website and email and text messaging are the most effective communication methods for Glendorans, which is why they're a central component of our marketing strategy. So just to give you some background, the library's website remains one of our strongest communication tools. We receive approximately 60,000 page views annually, which is the highest volume of any city department webpage. The only page that receives more views is the homepage, and the library actually has its own button on the homepage, which is something that not all city departments have. So our Library Happenings newsletter reaches more than 5,000 email subscribers a month and is also distributed to schools, community organizations, and other local partners. And in addition, the City of Glendora Activity Guide now includes a dedicated public library feature and is sent to every mailbox in Glendora, which is over 20,000 homes and businesses. The library itself is also one of our greatest marketing assets. Approximately 12,000 visitors enter the building each month, which creates significant opportunities to promote services and programs through print and digital signage. Recently, we have implemented mobile digital signage in high-traffic areas, including the lobby, and the goal is to reach visitors who may not otherwise enter the library. Staff also, we continue to evaluate additional opportunities to enhance communication throughout the facility and the main floor. Beyond the building, staff regularly participates in community events and presentations, including things like State of the City, Back to School Nights, Culture Fest, Holiday Stroll, and these face-to-face interactions, they remain one of the most effective ways that we connect with residents and connect them to library services and demonstrate the library's value in the community. We also leverage the city's social media platforms to reach audiences that libraries can't reach on their own. The city's viral campaigns for other departments positively impact our ability to gain access to audiences who may not actively seek out library information, but they do learn about library programs and services through engagement with the city's social media. Additionally, so our media approach also supports a cohesive communication strategy because it reinforces the library's role as an important city department and ensures consistent messaging across the organization. So this multi-channel approach is driven by data, it's well monitored, it's consistently adjusted, and we're looking for that right balance of converting passive audiences into engaged participants. So there is more work to be done, and we will continue to look for opportunities to improve the guest experience at the library. But I just wanted to share that update with you guys so you know how we're actively marketing our services and programs. My second update is about the strategic framework. We mentioned previously that we had a workshop in May that was focused on clarifying the library's priorities and strengthening how we measure service impact. So we did 4 exercises, and through those exercises, staff identified 5 core priorities. Those were access to information and resources, customer service and staff collaboration, lifelong learning and creativity, community space and engagement, and maintaining a safe and welcoming environment. The process also included identifying key staffing challenges, such as the need to cover multiple service points each hour. And in response to that, 2 of our phone service points have been combined into 1 and then rotated between divisions. And staff feedback on that has been overwhelmingly positive. Staff have said that scheduling has been more efficient, and there's been increased opportunities for cross-training because staff are gaining exposure to doing things that they haven't typically been asked to do. Staff also proposed 2 new tools to improve evaluation during this workshop, and that was a brief survey at account renewal and a standard post-program survey. Both are intended to strengthen feedback on the customer experience and program effectiveness, and we've recently implemented both of those to get customer feedback. And we just want to say a sincere thanks to the staff for their participation in the workshop. There was definitely thoughtful engagement and honest feedback. So we appreciate them and want them to know that their input was essential into shaping the priorities and operational improvements. But next steps for that include scheduling meetings with the full board and some staff to share work completed to date and to evaluate the department's strategic initiatives in alignment with the city strategic plan. So city staff will be reaching out to the board to schedule that. And then just a couple of miscellaneous updates. The City Council will be hosting a 3-part workshop series to discuss one-time funding options for city improvements. And the first workshop is actually going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Bidwell Forum. Second workshop will specifically discuss the library and the Public Works Yard, and that will be on Tuesday, July 21st, also at 6 p.m. in the Bidwell Forum. And then the third one will be Tuesday, September 15th, and that will cover funding options and next steps. And those are my miscellaneous updates, but I am going to invite Cindy up to give a little bit of background and update on the Summer Discovery Challenge.
Thank you, Donna. Good evening, everyone. So Summer Discovery Challenge is upon us, as a couple of the trustees noted. So we started on June 1st this year, so we have been been running for 2 full weeks. During that 2 weeks, we've had over 1,400 registrations. This is the biggest start to the Discovery Challenge that we've had since 2015. So we're seeing a lot of people coming in. As of this morning, there was 3,500 days of reading reported, which if that's only 30 minutes a day, which is the minimum requirement, we're looking at almost 1,800 hours so far and growing. That number will continue to grow exponentially throughout the summer. We have issued 250 new library cards. 8,500 items have been checked out. Over 81 visitors to the library in 2 weeks. 25 uses of our meeting rooms, 27 study room uses, 31 unique programs were held with over 2,300 participants. And I know this isn't in there, but in partnership with the Glendora Unified School District, we are offering summer lunches this summer, just like we did last summer. So on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 12:30, children under 18 and developmentally disabled adults are welcome to come get lunch at the library. It is provided by the school district. They bring it to us every afternoon. And in 2 weeks, we have served 167 lunches. During that time, our staff counts the number of interactions that they have with our customers. Patrons have been helped over 3,500 times. So Summer Discovery Challenge is huge, but I'm not done yet. So in addition to the programs that are going on at the library, we also have a companion program called the Summer Spark Program. This is where we work with the daycares, the summer camps, any of the educational institutions that are within Glendora, private and public, to provide them with a reading incentive program, because some of those kids aren't going to come into the library when mom and dad get off of work, because quite frankly, at the end of work, I don't want to come, just personally. And so we send all the supplies for a reading incentive program, giveaway books, backpacks, pencils, other incentives, reading logs, encouraging the kids to be reading 30 minutes a day or more. This summer, we added to that. So we sent a binder of materials and a box of materials with 2 book clubs in a box. So all the materials to run 2 unique book clubs, to have discussions and activities based on the Library Speakers Bureau, the online speaker series that we have with different authors, one with Kate DiCamillo, another with, can't remember the name of it, I'm sorry. So 2 book clubs in a box, 2 activity sets based on authors, other different activities, mazes, word searches, puzzles, coloring, and the supplies for a craft for every one of the students that's at those sites, which is another 1,000 students. So between all of that, we're looking at right now over 2,400 people affected by the Discovery Challenge. So, and last but not least, Trustee Long mentioned the volunteers that she met when she was in the library. So we have 110 volunteers this summer, between 12 and 17. In 2 weeks, they donated over 400 hours of service to the library. So that is just a quick update on the Discovery Challenge. I'm happy to answer any other questions if there's available time. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Sounds amazing. I love that.
I have a question.
For me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so did you get to make it by the colonial cooking thing?
I did,
tonight?
yes.
Okay.
So one of the programs going on
Intel.
is the Taste of History, the second of the 2 part of the colonial cooking. And so when I left, there was 16 people there. Tonight's event, they were focusing on Thomas Jefferson and Monticello. The first event in May, they were looking at Mount Vernon and George Washington, and the history not only of those men, but also their food, their chefs, their everything about them, and then their homes as well.
Do you know what the food was for tonight, or did they not get to it?
Queen cakes and carrot something soup.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was something I wanted to attend, but we had to be here. So, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Interim Director?
That concludes our report.
Okay, next thing, we're moving on to the consent. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So just to get back to your first point, Donna, the library and the city goes to great lengths to communicate the programs at the library. but I'm going to say it, I'll say it every meeting, without a dedicated website that you can immediately navigate to, that is representing a very significant barrier to access to services at the library. And where it goes back to my workshop on architecture in Los Angeles, without building that incredible community memory at that library, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to get the community support, to gather the funding that we critically need to improve the physical structure of the library. So that website is really a key to building that community access. So I would strongly advocate that we build our own dedicated website. I know as a trustee, I will try to go in and check a time. Oh, next thing I know, I'm practically paying my water bill. Because as we know, that website is quite a labyrinth. Even if it has a dedicated button, it's still difficult to navigate that website. So again, please, we do need a dedicated website for the library.
I think this is the right time to ask this. I was very interested in reading over the report and what's going on, that the library shared resources for small businesses as part of a small business fair co-sponsored by the City of Glendora and the Chamber of Commerce. I apologize if I should have known about that somewhere else, but can you tell me a little bit more about that and what we shared with them? Because that sounds very exciting to tie into small businesses.
Yeah, so that was something that was originally put on by the City of Glendora, our Community Development Department, and they hosted it in the Bidwell Forum. And so they invited city partners and city businesses to come and have tables at the event and just share about their businesses and sort of the resources they offer. So the library had a table similar to how they do it back to school nights and things like that, where they had information about our programs, our resources, how to get a library card, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. That's great exposure to have a library table there. And that sounds like that was a great event. I'd like to go next year, Erwin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All right, we'll go next to the consent calendar, which is item number 3. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless a trustee has requested it to be removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to pull or comment on any consent calendar item? Okay. I would like to request a motion to approve the consent calendar. Okay. Trustee Long?
I make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
And anybody like to second?
I'll second, Trish Bogle.
Thank you, Vice President Vogel. So we'll vote. So the motion passed. It was carried.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. So for unfinished business, number 4, self-evaluation of the Board of Library Trustees for fiscal year 2025, 2026. I'd like to invite Interim Library Director Donna Dukes to report.
Thank you, President Landman. So just finishing up with the self-evaluation process for the Board of Trustees. So from the April meeting, it was agreed that the Board of Trustees would proceed with the established June timeline to have self-evaluations turned in and then included in a library board packet. So I did send instructions to the board, including a fillable PDF, pre-populated with the goals, the role of the Glendora Board of Trustees, and then it was all to be incorporated in this month's packet. So I did receive evaluations from all trustees, so thank you so much. And thank you, a special thank you to those of you who we had to work extra hard to make the formatting work. So they are included in your packet, unchanged, except for I did have to write your name on some of them, but that's the only alterations that there were. So our recommendation is that the Board of Library Trustees review and file the report containing the trustees' individual self-evaluations.
Did anybody have a comment?
I do.
Okay.
I thought I just pushed it. Anyway, I just had the one question on the meeting with city council. Is that something that has been done in the past? Is that something that's on the calendar?
Are we talking about the regular meeting or?
I think it was the last, let me find it.
To facilitate the progress and success of the Living Document Library Strategic Plan,
I thought there was something about an annual meeting with the, yeah, an annual meeting with the city council.
so to my knowledge, it is scheduled once a year. Where the Board of Trustees and the City Council have a joint meeting, and that occurs once annually.
Okay. Yeah. Does anybody remember the last one, or is one on the calendar, or? I was just curious about that.
I don't have the information in front of me. Do you know off the top of your head, either of you?
It was the December meeting about the building. 2, 3, it was the year you started. So the most recent joint meeting between the library board and the city council was December of,
I started in 23.
in 2023, so about 2 years ago. The decision had been made to table those for a little while as we kind of got an idea of what it was, to be able to make sure that the meeting was the most impactful, rather than having a meeting going, well, we don't know what we're going to talk about.
Exactly.
And so I know it has been reported last fiscal year that we were waiting to make sure that the meeting was going to be an impactful meeting for everyone.
Thank you, Cindy.
Hey, anybody else have any questions? Okay. We just need a motion to review or receive and file the self-evaluation of the Board of Library Trustees for fiscal year 2025, 2026. Vice
I
President.
move that we review and, pardon me?
Yeah, receive and file.
Receive and file the self-evaluation of the Board of Library Trustees for the year 25-26.
Anybody like to second?
I'll second.
Trustee Johnson, thank you.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. And then new business, review updated contract with Charter Oak Unified School District for professional library services. I'd like to invite Library Services Manager Cindy Romero to report.
Good evening again. Welcome. I'm back today. So a little bit of background. The City of Glendora and Charter Oak Unified School District entered into agreement for professional library services in 2018. Since that time, earlier this year, the district reached out to us to provide an updated contract. With that, the library staff provides participation in local district library committee meetings, consultation on school library services and activities, assistance with library material selection and acquisition. The district reimburses the city for our time at those meetings. Since that time, the state has enacted the Youth Literacy Act, or also known as the Student Success Program. This was effective in January of 2026 and encourages collaboration between public libraries and public school districts to be able to improve literacy outcomes, expand student access to library resources, support student engagement and achievement, and measure partnership effectiveness. Because of the opportunity of this new initiative and the request to update the agreement, we updated it further to be able to include some student success language. So the things that were updated was the student success language, some confidentiality clauses, staff titles and reimbursement rates. When this was originally done, I was known as a senior librarian, not a library services manager, so we needed to update a little bit of that. Mutual indemnification and insurance language, and pending approval by both agencies, the City Council and the School District Board, this agreement will be effective July 1st, 2026. With the student success, some of the updates include responsibilities for both the city and the school district. City responsibilities include collaborating with district staff, providing digital library card information, which is how we provide the student success cards through a digital card, participate in school outreach events like back to school nights, open houses, things like that, make electronic library resources available. One of the big ones is the live homework help, and then some of the other study resources and research resources, and share library program participation data. And this is one of the reasons that confidentiality clause is built in, because if we're going to share data back and forth, we need to have those clauses built into the contracts. District responsibilities under this updated contract include collaborating with city staff, distributing the digital library card information to the families, and this is done as part of data confirmation in the summer. Provide aggregate student participation and outcome data, and that is in response to the Summer Discovery Challenge, things like that, and facilitate professional development opportunities for their staff so that they can learn about the resources that the library has to offer and then pass those along to their students. This is a very similar contract, the professional library services that we have with the Glendora Unified School District, minus the student success updates. We haven't updated that contract since 2018, so none of this was in place. And our Glendora contract is part of the master agreement with the school district and the city that includes the school resource officers, the crossing guards, fields and space, and the library. So we're a small part of a larger agreement. The next time that is updated, we will be looking at adding language to that one as well. So our recommendation tonight is that the Board of Library Trustees reviews the proposed updates to the contract for professional library services with the Charter Oak Unified School District and receive and file the report. And I am happy to answer questions if you have them.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, Trustee Long.
I was just curious if we have already in place how, like, share the library program participation data. How have we determined how that will be shared?
No, we have not.
That's-
So
okay.
one thing that we did, this was years ago, so like way back, probably about 15 years ago, working with a single school site at Charter Oak School District. We had a site of the Summer Discovery Challenge on their campus. So what they were able to do is take the students that were participating, because it was on their campus, and give us the aggregate before and after the summer reading scores. So we weren't getting any of the student data. We basically got the aggregate of the students that participated improved their reading by this much, the students that didn't participate didn't. And what we're looking is more global surveys like that so that we can share, these are the participants that were in the Summer Discovery Challenge, and then have them give us the before and after. Because of data privacy on both ends, both the library and the school district, it will be aggregate data. It's not going to be, well, Cindy read this, and Lisa read this, and Debbie read this. That's not going to happen. But if we can share some of that and receive some of those data back, we'll be able to share the outcomes and the impacts of what reading during the summer really can do.
Great, thank you. I would be excited to see that information because I'm sure it will show amazing growth.
Me too.
That's
It's
great.
like I said, it's been 15 years since we've been able to do one of those studies. So we're excited to start having some of the data sharing in the agreement so that we can embark on this.
That's great, thank you.
That's exciting. Anybody else? Okay. Then we just need to have a motion to receive and file the review updated contract with Charter Oak Unified School District for professional library services. I'd like to make a motion.
Do I have to repeat everything you just said? I would like to make a motion to receive and file the report of the updated contract between Charter Oak Unified and the library.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Okay, nice. Anybody like to make a second?
I'll second to receive and file the new agreement with the Charter Oak Unified School District.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson. But-
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. So now there's board staff closing comments. Anybody have, yes, Trustee Hall.
So listening today, instead of having something to say at the beginning, I was listening, obviously. This is a small nugget of an idea, and feel free to tell me all the ways that it's wrong, because that's fine. I attended the first farmer's market this week. Well attended, busier when I left, more vendors are showing up. There was a representative from the Quanians passing out half-sheet flyers of your upcoming designer bag bingo. And as I was listening to her do that, walking up and down the street, listening to your presentation on all the ways we do contact our community, perhaps we have something so simple that just shows how do you get to the library on the website. Just a little, like an organizational chart, like click here, click here, click here, and do you know how to get to your library's website? Do you know how to access the website? Do you know where the programs are? Maybe. That's a person walking around. I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I'd be happy to. I don't know where what the drawback is of that kind of suggestion. Just to get a few more people to go, oh, I didn't realize I know I didn't know how to get to the library website, or something like that. It was just a thought as I was listening to all the other data today.
And were you thinking of having it distributed at the farmer's market by library?
Yeah. The Quanians rep was walking up to people and saying, hey, our Design Your Bag Bingo is coming up. Here's a little half-sheet flyer.
Nice. I hope you can come. Interim Director, was anybody from the library at the farmer's market?
We did not have anyone at the from the library at the farmer's market as part of the staff, although several of our staff did go visit it. But as far as your suggestion, I don't know. I would have to do more research and look into that to see if that's a possibility, but absolutely all suggestions are welcome, so.
And from what I understand, it's not how did they put it? It's not a city function. This is a private company coming in and servicing a farmer's market for us on our behalf. So I know there are lines there as well. I would imagine they don't want a bunch of people running up and down the street hanging out flyers for a bunch of their special interests. So it was just a thought.
Yes, thank you. I will look into the regulations and all of that good stuff and see what we can do with it. Thank you so much.
Do you know how long the farmer's market's going for? Because we won't be meeting back until well, one thing I was going to announce. So we go dark July and August, then we meet back in September. So is the farmer market going to be year-round, or I haven't
don't
heard.
know.
but
I don't know what the final date for that is.
Just to see if it's possible to get.
Yeah, I can absolutely,
Flyers.
find out more information, and then I can email all of you, absolutely, so.
Yeah, great idea.
And, I mean, we're all still available by email, so you can still reach out to us, even though we're not meeting. There's also, and I haven't been to this either, the first Saturday, which there's like 12 first Saturday things going on. But that's another place to possibly check out. And I mean, you know, especially for the night market. I mean, like for the farmer's market during the summer, I'd be willing to go one time and hand out flyers if that's possible, or,
So just to interrupt, I'm being told it's year-round, so.
okay. Well, that'll be a little harder in October, but maybe.
Why, for
Well,
World
just,
Series or something?
no. No, just when school starts. I mean, right now, school's out, so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let us know. I think that's a great idea. That would be really beneficial to help people to navigate the website. Okay, anybody else? So again, reminder, we are dark July and August and we'll return in September. And then I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Lloyd Johnson at 7:46 p.m. Thank you.